Hello, prospective Golden Hawks. My name is Patricia Goff, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Political Science at Wilfrid Laurier University. I'm joined today by Kristen Mead and Jasmine Gabbard. They are both students in the Honors BA in Political Science, and we're together here today to tell you why you should think very seriously about joining us in the Department of Political Science at Laurier. Over the next 10 or 20 minutes, we're going to share some information, some nuts and bolts about what we do, and then we're going to have a little bit of a chat so that you get some insight into why both Jasmine and Kristen have been so happy with the program here at Laurier. We're going to start by sharing a PowerPoint slide deck, which will include some of the information that I'd like to share with you about the Department of Political Science. Let me start by talking about the various programs that we offer. Two things that I want to make clear to you. One, there is a lot of breadth in our department. If you are interested in Brexit, in municipal politics, in trade, in security issues, in refugee policy, you can find a program at Laurier where you can focus on that issue. You'll notice on the screen that I've listed 3 honors BAs that we run out of the department, and also a number of specialties, specializations, options, minors, etc., from which you can choose. We're going to talk about them in greater detail in a moment, but just so you know that the number of options, the flexibility, the breadth that is available to you in our department is really significant. You'll notice on the screen now a number of the sample courses that we offer. You can find more on our website, but again, you'll notice everything from legal writing to Latin American politics, to environmental policy, to Indigenous peoples and public policy, just to reinforce the degree to which we offer choice and breadth. You can find a home here regardless of your interests. One of the great things about our programs is that you can tailor them, you can design them in such a way that not only are you making sure that you are focusing in on what interests you most, but you can also distinguish yourself. You can distinguish your degree from your colleague's degree. You might choose to do a double major in political science and history with a legal studies specialization. Your best friend might decide to do an honors BA in political science with a management option and a research specialization. This is a fantastic opportunity because it means that you can focus in on what interests you and what best sets you up for what you want to do after you complete your degree. Of course, so much of what we do goes on in the classroom, but when you come to Laurier, you will find so many awesome opportunities beyond the classroom. You might think that co-op is for business school. That's not true. It's not only for business school. You can also do it as an art student in the political science department at Laurier. You can go on international exchange. You might spend the 3rd year of your program studying in Belgium, studying in Spain, studying in Australia. That's an incredible opportunity that's available to you. And you'll see other opportunities that are available there for you. You might find that you want to join the Laurier Moot Court Club because you want to go on to law school. And so you can hone those schools, hone those skills, make friends, and prepare yourself for law school by joining that particular opportunity. So all sorts of choice in the classroom, all sorts of opportunities in the range of programs that are available to you, and all sorts of opportunities beyond the classroom. Where does all of this lead? You're thinking about coming into university, but probably somewhere in the back of your mind, you're also thinking about what will happen after you leave university. Where will your degree take you? I can tell you that we have alumni at every level of government. We have alumni who are teachers, who are professors, who are in the private sector, who are continuing their education in master's programs and PhD programs, in law school. We have alumni in just about every walk of life that you can think of in Canada and beyond. a political science degree, especially when you design it and tailor it to have the specializations that can distinguish you, can take you just about anywhere. Why is that the case? Why is it that our alumni do so well? I think there are a few reasons. One is that you have a global perspective. Political science gives you a global perspective. A political science degree is going to encourage and arguably require your critical thinking skills to really be on display. We also find it extremely important to make sure that to cultivate your openness to diversity, and we also want to cultivate your soft skills. There's a lot of discussion about making sure we have hard skills. Do we know math? Do we know science? Those are extremely important, but it's also important that we have soft skills. Do we have empathy? Can we work in a team? Do we understand the person from another country? These sorts of soft skills are part and parcel of what you do in an arts degree, and in particular in our degree in political science. The other reason why our alumni do so well, our faculty. We are a large department with 17 full-time faculty who are fabulous researchers, awesome teachers, and dedicated to your success when you come to our department. That's a huge reason why our alumni do so well. Let me get rid of these slides now and bring Kristen and Jasmine back into the conversation. Sure, I'm going to give a certain perspective about the programs and the department because I've worked in this department for 17 years. So I am super enthusiastic about what we do, and I'm super enthusiastic about the colleagues with whom I get to do it every day. You two have been in the program for the last almost 4 years. What are some of your reflections on the program? Let's maybe start with some of your favorite classes. Kristen, what have some of your favorite classes been in the program?
Definitely. Thank you so much, Dr. Goff. So my favorite classes actually take me all the way back to second year, which seems quite some time ago. And they were PO217 and PO218, which are courses that you're required to take as part of a political science degree, but they are taught by two professors who have an outstanding amount of knowledge about research design and qualitative and quantitative research methods, which you'll learn about in those courses. And they're a little bit different than every other course that you're going to take in the political science department. You're going to learn some tangible research skills that you can actually put on your resume from those courses. And something else that those courses taught me was that there are so many things that you can do with a political science degree. I had the opportunity to meet with some employees from Ipsos, who are a market research company, and having a background in research design and data collection and things like that can help you in prospective career opportunities as well.
I'm so glad to hear that some of the mandatory courses were your favorite courses. Some students hear that they've got to take 217 and 218, and it sounds kind of frightening because there are some statistics, but you're right that these are some of the hard skills. These are some of the practical transferable skills that you acquire. And because they're taught by people who have such knowledge and such enthusiasm for it, I'm so glad to hear that it turned out to be your favorite, Kristen. Jasmine, what were some of your favorite courses?
Sure. So mine were actually optional courses. If you guys choose the legal studies route, then you guys will have to do PO209, and that's an introduction to legal writing. And what's really great about that course is that you're able to write these factums and things that you would look at in law and actually be able to use the things that you learn in class and then apply to jobs outside, to law firms, or to even try to get an understanding of how to do legal research. I also found a lot of interest in the policy brief introduction program, IP300, which is in collaboration with the Balsali School of International Affairs. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right.
I say Balsali, but
Balsali, right.
It's one of those words, we all know what you mean. We all know what you mean.
Yeah, so I tried to tailor my degree to a lot of those international affairs because I've been very interested in human rights law. And actually it was those two research skills as well as the international perspective that landed me my internship right now with the Raoul Wallenberg Center for Human Rights, which is chaired by Irwin Cotler. He was the former Minister of Justice of Canada and Nelson Mandela's former Canadian counsel when he was still alive and in prison.
Fantastic, fantastic. You mentioned, Jasmine, that you designed your degree in a certain way. One of the things we know is that you can do that. I'd like to hear how each of you have designed your degree. So you've said a little bit about that. Jasmine, can you tell us more about this legal studies specialization that you mentioned? One of your favorite courses is a course that you took toward fulfillment of the requirements of the legal studies specialization. Tell me a little bit more about how you tailored your degree.
Sure. So with the legal studies specialization, I know personally in the future I want to go to law school. So I wanted to learn these transferable skills beforehand to see if it was a route I wanted to take, and maybe even to, again, use it to apply for jobs and to try to get an entry level into the legal industry. I personally came from a background where I was a first generation university student, and so this was all very new to me. And so the legal studies option or specialization rather, when I found that out, was a really interesting way to get introduced to these new concepts and be able to look at case law for the first time and see how the Canadian justice system works in a classroom and get some feedback from people in the industry. We have lawyers that are also professors in the legal specialization, who have come into class and talked about these things. So it's a really great way to unpack your degree and be able to touch base with people that work in the industry and get some insight into that.
One of the great strengths, I think, of that legal studies specialization is indeed what you said, that many of the instructors in the program are practicing lawyers in the community. So to me, it's a really wonderful thing that you are exposed to the career academics who give you the more traditional instruction, but also practitioners who are in the midst of arguing cases in the morning and coming in and spending time with you in your class in the afternoon. That's a really amazing window on the law. Kristen, you've also designed your degree. I know you're doing the legal studies specialization in addition to a couple of others. Tell us a little bit about how you've designed your degree around your interests and your plans.
Definitely. So Laurier has endless amount of options as far as how you can customize your degree, and it's something that I love about being a Laurier student. When I came into university, I really wanted to get as much of a well-rounded education as I could, because I figured that regardless of what I went to do after school, the more knowledge in the more areas that I had, the better off I would be. So that has led me to today, where I'm working towards an honors BA in political science with the legal studies specialization, but also with a research specialization, which is a fantastic 2-part 4th-year seminar where we have the opportunity to dive a little bit deeper into research methods and actually get to create our own research projects. We work with incredible faculty alongside support with other faculty members who have offered us support throughout this as well. So being able to customize my degree has allowed me to take courses in almost every topic I could imagine in politics throughout my 3 years here. And I'm very grateful for it.
You know, what I'm noticing about these choices that you've made is that I believe they're really going to set you up so well for the next step on your journey. They're giving you exposure to things that you think you might like to do as a career. They're laying the groundwork for the skill set that you might need for that career. If you go on to further education, which both of you will, you have and Jasmine's also doing the research specialization, you have the research skills that will be so valuable. And of course, research skills are not only valuable in further education, we're using research skills across the Canadian economy, in advertising agencies, in non-governmental organizations, and everything in between. So that research skill set is so important. But in addition, that exposure to the legal studies skill set is also so important. And as you mentioned, Kristen, those are just some of the specializations that we offer in our department. There are other minors and options and specializations in other departments that are available to you if you're doing your honors BA in political science. Many of our students choose the management option through the Lazaridis School of Business. Other students choose the criminology option through our Brantford campus. So the combinations and permutations that are informed by your own interests and your own plans really are endless. And I think that's exciting. I'm just curious about when you each decided that you might want to move in these directions, because one of the things we know about our program is that you don't have to know this when you come in the door. I'm sure some of the folks who are listening to us are thinking, that sounds really interesting, but I don't know yet what it is I want to do. I'm not sure. You don't have to know when you come in the door. When you come in the door in first year, we only require you to take 2 political science courses in your first year. And that's 2 of between 8 and 10. Most students take either a load of 8 courses in their first year, 9 or 10. So you're only taking 2 in political science. Can I ask the 2 of you maybe to talk a little bit about how that worked for you? Jasmine, maybe I'll start with you. What did you know when you entered school that this would be your trajectory, or did you come to understand through second year, third year, fourth year that maybe this is where you'd like to go?
Sure. So I already knew kind of coming into the program that law is something I was really passionate about, but I wasn't sure what being a lawyer looked like or how this whole legal thing looked like at all. And so I didn't realize the aspects to law that dealt with research, as well as some of the other human rights aspects and how to even get involved in the community and in not-for-profits. I was always under the assumption that there was this level of, I guess, ambition that comes with being a lawyer that just does not exist in research. And that was kind of my assumption. But over the course of my undergraduate degree, I started to look into maybe writing a thesis because I started to see a lot of policy issues in the actual justice system and wanting to address that on a better level in an academic way. And so when I was introduced to the research specialization, I think it was in third year, I really took an interest in it because I thought this is a really great way to dive into these issues and talk to people in a program that makes sense and be able to work with these different policies to design theses that would then be able to, I guess, transfer those to master's programs and try to develop them further. So I think that my process of coming into the program is very different now going out of the program, but I'm very happy for the flexibility that the poli-sci department has allowed me to do with my degree and where I'm going now.
That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. And I think that will be a reassuring message for students coming out of high school, and there are so many things that are possible. The path will unfold. The path will unfold. What's your story, Kristen? How about you? Do you find that you're still discovering now what your choices might be, or did you have a good idea early on in your post-secondary education?
Yeah, so coming into university, I was very ambitious about going to law school after, and I thought that I wanted to study criminology. I thought that that was going to be the path that I went down. And then I was introduced to the Department of Political Science, and we clicked automatically. The amount of options and choice that they provided, the incredible faculty, as we had mentioned, those 2 courses that I had mentioned that were so meaningful to me have opened up so many doors and opportunities for me in the department, in specific to research work, and then now the research specialization. It almost feels like a staircase. I came in at the bottom, and my path has just kind of evolved as I've evolved here at Laurier. And I don't think it would have evolved the way it has without the support of this program and of the wonderful faculty in it.
That's great to hear. I think it just reinforces the message that if you are coming in and you absolutely know that you love a particular thing and that's what you've wanted to study since you were 13 years old, awesome. Come and do that. But if you're not quite sure and you want to come and explore a little bit and see what's possible, you can also come and do that. So both of these possibilities exist.
And if I can jump in just again to touch on that, like I have friends who didn't know what they wanted to do and who were in second year poli-sci and third year poli-sci, and they weren't quite sure. And political science allowed them to figure that out. By being a part of a program that has so many options, you're not limiting yourself, you're not closing the doors to anything. And now they're all about to graduate, and some are going to go be professors and some are going to go be professionals. And if you're not sure, the Department of Political Science is actually probably a really good place for you because you have so much to learn.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that's a great point. Why should the students who are watching this video come to Laurier Political Science? In your view, what would you say? I think we've gotten a sense of some of why you have been enthusiastic about it. You've gotten great opportunities, you've had choice, etc. But if you had a particular message that you wanted to share, is there something in particular you would emphasize about political science at Laurier?
I think the community. I think that Laurier has a phenomenal political science department that makes you feel welcomed. I remember my first time walking into the office when COVID was not here at the moment, but I walked in and I remember seeing Professor Goff and Sherry, who is our department as well in our department, and she manages a lot of what goes on in the office. And they were both so welcoming and so compassionate. And that really set me up, I think, for success and wanting to engage in this community. And the great thing about not only the flexibility of our program is amazing, but also our faculty and staff that want to see you succeed. And this level of community at a small university that really matters at the end of the day. To know that you're more than just a number is so significant, and it just really sets it apart from anywhere else, I think.
Yeah.
For me, I would say that in addition to that sense of community, there's a feeling of support and a feeling of being cared for by faculty and by the people you're surrounded by. I am so fortunate to act as a representative for the department where I get to work alongside faculty who genuinely care about student success and supporting their students. And I have developed so many fantastic relationships with different faculty members and different colleagues, and they all work so hard to make sure that I'm successful and to help me learn and to take my education in the direction that I want to. So, to an incoming student, I would say come to Laurier because it's a unique community where you're going to get all the support in the world that you need and where you're really going to be able to thrive and flourish.
Boy, that's wonderful. I certainly could not have said it any better than what the two of you have said. And I'm just so thrilled to know that that is your experience, because I know that's what we strive to provide. We can point to the different requirements in the program and the course list and all of these specific nuts and bolts. And that's important. That's important. You need to be able to get what you want in the programs that we offer. But the intangible, the human part, how you feel when you're here, whether you do feel like you're part of something, whether you do feel like you're getting the support that you need to move forward on your journey, that's what I know we provide in the Department of Political Science very successfully. And we'd love to provide it to the next crop of Golden Hawks that are coming in. We're going to say goodbye for today, and we hope that we hear from you. I'm going to share screen one more time. Why? Because there is some information on further resources that I'd like to make available to folks who are watching this video. If you would like more information about Laurier generally, you can visit this website that's now appearing, the wlu.ca/virtual-experience. All sorts of information there about Laurier, but also about the Department of Political Science. We hope you'll visit that page and take some of the virtual tours and explore some of the possibilities that are there. There's an opportunity to speak to ambassadors, most of whom are students. We hope you'll take those opportunities to learn more about our awesome university and our awesome department. Thank you for taking the time to spend with us today. We hope to see you soon on campus.